Pranam to everyone, Pranam to Gurudev and to Ishta. Welcome to Arrohum Sutras Part 3, which is also known as Shaamyati or healing. In this sutra, we will be covering in depth about various chakras, its blocks, Kundalini energy, and then how to heal. After this video, we will do the correspondence guided meditation. In this video, we will cover briefly about the 7 chakras, but in depth about the first 3 chakras, that is Mooldhara, root chakra, Swadhisthana or sacral chakra, and Manipura or solar chakra. So let's start with Mooldhara chakra. So Mooldhara chakra is the first chakra, which also means the root or foundation, and actually this is what precisely this chakra is all about. It is at the root of the chakra system, and its influences are at the root of our whole existence. It is the most basic of the chakra, but then again it guides us to highest the consciousness, because it is the seat of Kundalini energy or Mula Prakriti, which is the original source of all evolution. Its seat is in the male body is located slightly inside the perineum, midway between the scrotum and the anus. It is the inner aspect of that nerve complex which carries all kind of sensation and is immediately connected with the testis. In the female body, Mooldhara chakra lies on the posterior sides of the cervix. In both male and female body, there is a vestigial gland at Mooldhara, which is something called as Brahma Granthi. And as long as this knot remains intact, the energy located in this area is blocked. But the moment this knot is opened, Shakti awakens. It is only when the individual awaken happens to the possibility of divine consciousness to a greater force and purpose than that of primal animal life that the Brahma Granthi began to loosen. Basically, when we rise above the cycle of this robotic mundane life of sleeping, eating, doing job, and mating, and then again sleeping, with this routine chorus life, not even questioning why am I here, what's my main purpose, how I need to evolve, how I need to work upon my lessons, and how can I move forward in my journey, how can I close my karmic loops, how can I convert my lower tamasic gunas to higher sattvic gunas, or maybe balance between the 3. Until then, this knot remains closed. The Mula Bij mantra of this chakra is Lam, and once the Kundalini awakens, I won't say full, but bit of astral projections also starts. So Kundalini is called 3.5 times, and the luster being that of lightning. The 3 represents the gunas or qualities of nature in an individual. And in Tantra, this serpent is known as Mahakala, remaining great or endless time. So when Kundalini is lying in the womb of the unconsciousness, it's beyond time and space. When Kundalini begins to manifest, begins to awaken, it enters the dimensions of personality and individuality and becomes subject to time and space. In its awakened state, Kundalini Shakti represents her spiritual potential, but its dormant state represents the instinctive level of life, which supports her basic existence. So see, both possibilities lies in Mooldhara, and it's our free will, which possibility to choose. We all got that choice at the end of the day. So the main gift associated once the pranic energy in its higher form as Kundalini energy starts to awaken is the psychic smell. And our smell become basically so acute that offensive orders are difficult to bear. So it's like the first sign that okay, something is awakening in our Mooldhara chakra. For some, the experience is of intense heat. For some, it's of instant intensity of vibrations that we feel. But particularly, we cannot say that it's Kundalini Shakti awakening, because sometimes it's just the breath of that Kundalini Shakti. So we need a guide or guru to help us know that what is actually happening subtly in our prana body. As we know, chakras corresponds to dimensions or lokas and even grahas, which we have already talked in our previous videos how it affects. So Mooldhara is associated with Bhuloka or earth, earthly existence, and it is also the seat of Annamaya Kosha. That is the seat of physical body. So all our nourishment, all the energy we get, all our nutrients, etc., all of it is governed by a Mooldhara chakra, and it is also the chief center of Apana. So during yoga, when the positive and negative, or you can say masculine or feminine forces of Ida and Pingala are completely awakened or balanced out, and awakening is sparked off here, which arouses the dormant Kundalini. It may be like through yoga nidra, or through mantra japa, or through hatha yoga, or even through gyan or pure bhakti. It may be sufficient, whatever way you adopt, that's fine. But we need to have that knowledge so that we know what's happening inside us and how can we navigate it in correct order so that we don't fall down or we don't lose our way and we are on the correct path. Plus we are not shocked or surprised and clueless. So that gyan is very important. So if whatever path you choose, and sometimes is also amalgamation of all the paths, so that may be sufficient to trigger off a mild awakening in which Kundalini rises as far as Swadhisthana or Manipura, but then it drops back to Mooldhara again. So sometimes some people confuse, oh, my Kundalini have arisen, like it has awakened, so maybe I'm enlightened, but that's just tip of the iceberg, or you can say just the starting point. There are so many karmic blocks, so many lessons which need to be learned when it fully stabilizes and makes it based at Manipura chakra. That is when our real spiritual journey begins. Because sometimes what happens, when people have experiences in meditation and they feel the Shakti rising through spinal cord from Mooldhara to the brain, it is not awakening of a Kundalini but a release of pranic force or pranic breath of the Kundalini serpent, which is also known as Pranodhana. So this preliminary awakening starts from Mooldhara and it can ascend the spinal cord not via Sushmana Nadi. Just understand this. It can choose the way of Pingala Nadi, or it can also choose the way of Ida Nadi. And only like 10 to 20% it purifies the chakras until it reaches the brain, where it is usually dispersed or it falls back again. And sometimes we feel, oh, we are being enlightened, our Kundalini has awakened, but again that is just the starting of it. Each chakra have got 14 gates, and after opening of every first 2 gates, Kundalini arises. There are 7 types of Kundalini, or 7 times in our life as a sadhak, which can also take course of many births. The Kundalini arises. First is pierce Brahma Granthi, then it takes at times, and when we clarify the blocks of Vishnu Granthi, then it again arises, but then it makes it base at Manipura chakra when it pierces Vishnu Granthi completely. Before that, there are high chances of falling down, having spiritual ego, misusing of siddhis, etc. So these things one sadhak should be completely aware of. That is why renowned saints tell not to fall for siddhis and make our main aim for the union of Shiv Shakti or Atma with Paramatma. So this chakra is physiologically related to the excretory, urinary, sexual and reproductive organs. So block here, or in particular Mahadasha of particular planet, for example Mars is greatly associated with root chakra. The blocks or the disease manifests in these organs. And if we do particular block removal, healing, cleansing of particular karmic block, it all vanishes. Sometimes there's no need of medicine also. But then I don't know if the world is ready for that thing right now. Anyways, so our life, desire, actions and accomplishments are controlled by the desires, and whatever we do in our life is an expression of that lower chakra. Our lower sanskaras and karmas are embedded in this chakra, and it is said that normal like selection of clothing, food, friends, whatever we choose, it is influenced by this awareness of these chakras, which are influenced by our Purva Janma sanskaras. So one thing I really need to talk about here, having desires is not a sin, it's not bad. But how to control it, how to manifest it, that knowledge is very important. For example, if you only manifest or indulge or have experience of desires only for procreation or just for pleasure or just for very primal lust like animalic lust, then that is the level of a lower consciousness. But some practice it to open the windows to samadhi, and they do not care for any kind of procreation or fulfillment of passion, but their intent, which is the very, very important thing. What is your intent behind a particular action? So their intent is only concerned with awakening an experience and sublimating it and having that blissful experience, Paramananda, which is much, much more times more than that pleasure of desires, what we feel. So that intent and what we want, how can we control that? Shakti is wrong. However you want to control it, however you want to do it, that's your choice, that's your free will. So yeah. So now let's talk about what kind of gifts we get once Kundalini arises in Mooldhara chakra, so you can relate in case you are also experiencing some similar gifts regardingly. Sometimes astral levitation happens. One may experience psychic phenomena like clairvoyance and clairaudience. Other manifestations include movements or increasing warmth in the area of coccyx or a creeping sensation like something moving slowly up the spinal cord. These sensations result from the accession of Shakti or of the awakened Kundalini. But just you need to know that once the Shakti when reaches Manipura chakra, it sometimes begins to descend to Mooldhara again if we dwell certain kind of ego, spiritual ego, or if we start using our siddhis or gifts in a very, our intent is not right, it's to harm people or it's to gain revenge or out of jealousy or whatever it is, it's very, very high chances, and I can say 50 to 60% time it happens that if such emotions are not cleared up, are not understood, the Kundalini, it descends back to the Mooldhara again. So Kundalini, when it ascends from Mooldhara to Swadhisthana, the sadhaka experiences a very crucial period in which all his repressed emotions, especially those of a more primal nature, express themselves. Passion mount during this period and all kind of infatuations ensue, making the sadhaka extremely irritable and unstable at times. So don't panic, okay, I am doing certain sadhana, I am doing this, I am doing that since, but still I am experiencing anger, still I am experiencing lot of attraction to various people, still I am experiencing so much irritation and all. It's quite common because you are working on karmic seeds and blocks which your mind have identified like an identity, and it's not ready to leave it very easily. So it's a kind of rebirth, which is not a very beautiful, smooth experience. No, it's quite shocking, it's quite painful, it becomes irritable also sometimes, so that's quite natural and it's okay. Sometimes what happens, one day the sadhak may sleep deeply for hours together, another day he may get a 1 or 2 into the morning, take bath and meditate. Sometimes he becomes very passionate, he or she loud and talkative, while other times completely silent. So at this stage the sadhaka often expresses this great mood swings, which is completely fine. You will grow above it if you are being guided and properly. Okay, so one thing is very crucial to know while talking about Mooldhara chakra. Mooldhara chakra is directly connected to Ajna chakra. So when Ajna is awakened, you will find that Mooldhara is the easiest chakra to awaken fully, and you are completely grounded. And the gross mind can concentrate on this center and manipulate it with ease. So that is why after we do the Mooldhara chakra meditation, we always go to Ajna chakra. We stay there for 2, 5, 10 minutes, however, and then we descend back down. That is very important because Ajna gives you that wisdom to know what is right, what is wrong, what is your buddhi, because it is the guru of all chakras. Okay, now briefly, we will talk about various blocks that governs the root chakra. Once you will know what emotions are associated with these chakra, only then you will be able to face and let go of it to unblock the chakra. In very short, we will discuss about it. As we have talked about, each chakra have got 7 gates, mainly for personal growth, and another 7 gates which is related to collective consciousness. So we will first talk about our first 7 gates itself. Next 7th is quite advanced chakra healing, which we will talk about some other day. So first and second gate are blocked by this life, fears, insecurities, survival, threatening, anxiety, etc. So first 2 gates, when we start working, this life, childhood insecurity or adulthood or teenage or whatever, it comes first on the surface, which we need to see. Face, very important. Don't run away, don't suppress. Face, it can be quite painful again, but then work on it and close that cycle, karmic loop. Third and fourth gate is associated with a bit of past life grief, past life war, trauma, abuse, identity confusion, survival anxiety. Survival anxiety, for example, you had past life birth when it was all tribal on earth. So survival anxiety related to maybe money, food, shelter, core wound of life, unloved, the trauma of being unloved by parents or close people. 5th to 6th gate, it's like disconnected. You feel disconnected from nature or earth, so you need to connect again. Then you feel numbness, detachment from body. This is because of the trauma that is related to obedience, too high obedience to your community, to society, and fear of rejection, identity surprises, guilt, etc. So once you start working on this, the 5th and 6th gate starts to evolve. And sometimes also when we are working at 5th and 6th gate, generational ancestral traumas also begin to come on the surface. Now, if it's feminine or masculine or both, that you will know. Either you will get visions or either you will get dreams, because these are some channels through which our soul interact with us, our Isht, our Guru interact with us and help us to know the step ahead to work on. 7th gate blocks are because of rejection of sensuality and sexual identity, ego fight or flight mode. And you need to understand that body is a temple, and this temple and this body does not belongs to you, it belongs to the divine. So once we start working deeply, we get to know the solution also. But these are the major blocks that are associated with root chakra. After 7th gate, 8th to 14th gate, it's usually about collective ancestral, generational, collective feminine, masculine roots, cosmic orphaning, like, okay, the god have orphaned me, didn't ask me. So all these blocks come at quite advanced stage. So this is briefly about root chakra. Let's now move on to Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana chakra is Swa means one's own and Adhisthana means dwelling place or residence. Although Mooldhara chakra occupies a very important place in the scheme of the chakras, Swadhisthana, which is located very near to Mooldhara, is also involved in and responsible for the awakening of Kundalini Shakti in Mooldhara. In fact, it is said that previously the seat of Kundalini was in Swadhisthana, but there was a fall with coming of Dark Age and Kali Yuga, and subsequently Mahakundalini came to rest in Mooldhara. Swadhisthana corresponds to main reproductive and urinary systems in the cross body and is physiologically related to prostatic or uterovaginal plexus of nerve. The location of Swadhisthana is the base of spinal column at the level of pockets or tailbone. This is a small bony bulb which can be felt just above the anus. It is anatomically very close to Mooldhara chakra in both the male and female bodies. Swadhisthana Kshetram is in front of the body at the level of pubic bone. So Kshetram is the area where we feel the vibrations in the front of the body, but the actual location of all the chakras are not on the spinal cord. So spinal cord location's direct front location is Kshetram. Once we do high advanced Kundalini sadhanas and chakra sadhanas, we get to understand why it's important to know about it. So Swadhisthana chakra is the seat of primary ignorance. However, traditionally it is depicted as 6-petal vermilion or orange-red lotus. The element of this chakra is water, symbolized by a white crescent moon with the pericarp of the lotus, while that of Mooldhara, main element is earth. And it is an unconscious dimension or Bhuvarlok, ancestral realm in terms of lokas, and the store of formless karma. Our Shani Graha or Saturn Graha is associated with Swadhisthana chakra along with other grahas also, but that is why it is also called as the Karmic Graha. And whenever it's Dasha Mahadasha come, main karmic seeds which are stored in karmic body of our past lives, they come upon surface on Swadhisthana chakra, and its correspondence, emotions, mental body, emotional body, and our physical body starts affecting. We start attracting certain circumstances, etc. Now, the loka for Swadhisthana, as we talked, is Bhuvar, which is the intermediate plane of spiritual awareness, and the main sense connected to this chakra is taste. And the chief vayu of this chakra is Apana. So, Swadhisthana chakra and Manipura chakra, they both are seat of Pranamaya Kosha. Okay, now let's talk a bit deep about it. So it is, as we talked, storehouse of mental impressions or sanskaras, which is also known as karmas. The past life, the previous experiences can be symbolized by Swadhisthana chakra. Individual being takes root in the unconscious mind, and the main instinctive drives that are felt at level of this chakra, they bubble up from the depths of the unconscious. So Pashu means animal, right? And Pati means master. So Pashupati is the master or controller of all the animal instincts. This is one of the names of Lord Shiva also. And it is also one of the main attributes of Swadhisthana chakra. In fact, it is absolute control over Mooldhara and Swadhisthana chakra. If you worship Lord Pashupati, he gives you the drive to fetch those karmic loops and amplify your journey by cutting it down at very fast rate and give you that exact guidance and knowledge. So what kind of emotions are associated and blocks with Swadhisthana chakra? Let's draft a comparison. So in Mooldhara, the karmas of lower stages of evolution are manifested in the form of anger, greed, jealousy, passion, love, hatred, and so on. And at the level of Swadhisthana, there is no conscious activity or manifestation. It's like a Hiranyagarbha, the universal womb, where everything exists in a potential state, right? In Mooldhara, like we have no control over our emotions, and it come out of pure survival, fear, and animal instinct. But in Swadhisthana chakra, we have that control. we can consciously at a human level understand, okay, these are the karmas that we need to work out. This is how we need to react on certain actions. It's like a reflex in Mooldhara, but it's like a controlled reflex which we can control in Swadhisthana chakra. So in collective unconscious, the sanskaras and the karmas exist in a seed state. For example, yesterday you had a pleasant and painful experience. That experience has become subconscious process or force which is acting on and coloring your conscious awareness today. So like that, there are many experiences from past life which we do not consciously recall, but they still play out a part in determining our daily behavior, attitude, reaction. So this is how these kind of karmas are stored in a Swadhisthana chakra. And let's understand one thing, even smallest of impression, perception, experience, association is recorded. If you have a quarrel or bitter exchange, that is a very strong registration, and those karmas need to be played out each and every to get over the cycle of karmic loop. So that is why the Swadhisthana chakra is often regarded as the main hindrance in the sense of these karmas which lie embedded in the unconscious and do not allow the rising Kundalini to pass through. After the initial awakening, Kundalini sometimes return back to dormancy again and again, slowly due to this karmic block at Swadhisthana. So it's very important for human being and for this Kundalini to rise above the Swadhisthana chakra to proceed further in your spiritual journey. The awakening of Swadhisthana presents many difficulties for the sadhaka. When the explosion takes place and Swadhisthana begins to erupt, the aspirant is often confused and disturbed by the activation of all this unconscious material. And sometimes he or she may be duly apprehensive about entering this stage of awakening, but then it is absolutely necessary for the spiritual evolution. Provided if we get the competent guru or spiritual guide who knows how to avoid all the pitfalls of this area, it can be transferred safely and without any problems. So when Kundalini is residing in Swadhisthana chakra, the last vestige of karma is being thrown out and all the negative sanskara expresses themselves and are expelled. And during this process, we may experience lethargy, indolence, depression, and all kind of tamasic characteristics. And the tendency to procrastinate is very strong over here. And you just want to sleep and sleep and sleep. And you will find the most of the, most sadhakas and most sages, they encountered great turmoil and temptations when they were passing through this particular stage. Because it's not easy to break away from so many past life births, habits, addictions, desires, sanskara. It's not easy at all. It almost make your spirit completely like that. So most people confront difficulties when they're moving through the terrain of Swadhisthana. If one have the grace of Guru or Ishta, an invincible willpower, and is sincere and not hypocritical in one's spiritual pursuits, intention is very clear about one goal and understand these experiences of purgatory, then one can face these difficulties properly and overcome them. If one fluctuates even slightly, Kundalini will return to Mooldhara and the real awakening will be a bit difficult, but not impossible. So in the first stages of sadhana and awakening, one must have supreme kind of detachment, vairagya, and it should not be intellectual vairagya or theoretical vairagya, but the outcome of a thorough analysis of the situations of life, like where is the end to the pleasure of life? Can we ever satisfy our desires? Even when you reach the age of 80 or 90 and your body can no longer enjoy pleasures, the mind still dwells on them constantly. You can leave all the sensual pleasures, but the taste will remain in the mind. So can we have that much willpower, discipline to overcome it? If we have that guidance, Kundalini can pass through it. And this is a very basic knowledge, but very difficult, of course. That desire can never be satisfied in one lifetime, even in thousands of lifetimes. Then Kundalini can, if you understand this truth and if you get detached from the desires and surrender to God, whatever desires that need to be filled, you guide us, then it's very easily Kundalini can pass through Swadhisthana and quite fast. making way to Manipura chakra. But without this understanding, Swadhisthana becomes like an impenetrable iron curtain, and perhaps only 1 in 1,000 can transcend it. Many people awaken Kundalini quite easily, but passing the Swadhisthana border is another whole different story. You really need to got that thing. And you know what happens when Kundalini arises in root chakra? Some of it rises in Swadhisthana, and even the blocks are there, but still like a river is flowing even through the rock in the. Its energy rises up Swadhisthana to Manipura. Many siddhis awaken, and this is the time when people fall. The spiritual journey falls down a lot. So one has to be very, very careful. And one more easy way, which many Tantra gurus, and it's quite easy to comprehend like that. We are human beings. We cannot do our desires zero. There is no point of doing that. We got a human body. We should enjoy desires. But again, as we talked about, the intent and the way we do it, that is what makes the whole difference. Whole difference. So desire at its highest point is the devotion. More highest point is the merging. Because what happens is, when it is just for pleasure and just for lust, the energy in Swadhisthana, it gets very disturbed, you know. But in the higher centers of evolution, in bhakti or in devotion, this same disturbed Kundalini energy transformed to pure form of rasa, pure form of Amrit, pure form of rasa energy. And that what makes the entire difference. You are still enjoying the pleasure, you are still enjoying the bliss, you are still enjoying that anand, but in so pure, unconditional love, surrendered way. So that is why this energy at different level is known by different names. At highest level it's called spiritual experience. On the emotional level it is called as love. On the physical level it is known as making love or fulfilling your desires. And at the lowest of level it is known as avidya or ignorance. It's like same energy, same milk, but a different form of curd, butter, cheese. So what we manifest, what is our intent, what is our goal, makes all the difference. So same energy, when it flows through passion, when channeled, manifests this devotion. Channel the same energy again and it manifests a spiritual experience. That is why spiritual aspirants love God in various manifestations, some as father, mother, child, friend, husband or lover. In this way they can sublimate the form of their emotional energy and even transform the primal energy into a divine experience. There is no need to suppress it. There is no need to consider it as a sin, because it is not. If it was, we wouldn't have that gift at the first place. We have that energy. Now how can we transform it? How can we derive pleasure out of it without forming any more karmic loops, without forming any more attachments, without forming any more dependency upon some external person? And more beautiful can be making your loved one, your beloved, as that instrument of divine experience. But that comes at very high stage. But then you're still enjoying that pleasure. So at higher level of Swadhisthana is the switch for Bindu also, and this is the point where primal sound originates. And few of the gifts are like when fully awakened, the loss of fear of water is there. There is huge downing of intuitive knowledge, awareness of astral entities, and the ability to taste anything desired for oneself or other. And due to ignorance and confusion, sometimes the psychic powers awakened at this level are often accompanied by maleficent mental attributes. So what happens here when the aspirant tries to manifest or express himself to the psychic medium is that more often that is not because that person is like a medium or vehicle for some higher divine God or something, but actually unknowingly sometimes that becomes a vehicle for personal or lower entities rather than for that divine. So that is why it's very important to have that guidance. Astral travel starts from here. You can start seeing entities over here, negative, positive. You dwell some siddhis also, the black magic, this, that, all that. It all starts manifesting in the lower 3 chakras, Kundalini awakening, and it's fine, it's quite easy, but it's not the final gate. It is just the starting, or maybe a trap, maybe. So that is why we need to very, very careful about it. And you will be careful about it when you are not tempted, when your intent is clear, when your intent is to help yourself, heal yourself and people around you, follow unconditional love, support, guide, then there is very less possibility to fall unless very high level of spiritual ego comes. Now let's talk in detail about the main emotion that caused the block of Swadhisthana chakra. First and second gate, when we start working upon the repressed childhood emotions, come on the surface of this life. Mood swings, numbness, guilt from sexual curiosity or longing, shame, withdrawal, our expressions are blocked. We're not able to express easily. Lot of moral conditioning, etc. blocks come on the surface, etc. Then during third and fourth gates, we work on the block where we are too dependent upon our lover, wife, husband, children for that external emotional gratification, validation. We tend to cling, or we tend to completely avoid. Then sometimes we get split identity. We are something else from outside, but we are something different else from inside. So there is a very huge amount of blocked life force and imbalance of male and female energies there, because we feel abandoned, and sometimes we get confused of the gender role. Sometimes we reject ourselves completely, go into complete depression, and internal conflict happens. So all these blocks, if you are having symptoms, it means maybe you are working on the third and fourth, but again you don't have to drum. These circumstances comes with the corresponding Mahadasha and planetary conditions, that destiny that our soul have chosen. But then 10%, how we perceive it, how we close it, how we unblock it, how we get guided, that is our free will. Okay, now 5th to 6th gate is like blocks of fears of failure come on the surface, regrets, guilt, especially of past lives, because this life we've already worked, so now it's coming of past lives. And when we work on 5th and 6th gate, that is when Kundalini ascends to heart chakra, Anahata chakra, and try to pierce Vishnu Granthi, when 5th, 6th gate of all the chakras basically start opening. Okay, so 5th, 6th gate, then there is frustration, stagnation, and sometimes we use relationships to avoid that emptiness, that voidness. Instead of sitting with ourselves, facing it, enjoying it, we go into panic mode, and we sometimes panic into solitude, and we start to think that we got no one got us. This emotions is very, very strong, that I can tell through personal experience. Then soul contracts with our soulmates or twin flames. It start happening over here. The soulmate contracts, or we start meeting very close or deep bonds of past life, someone who have been in past life. We have been carnating together in many past lives. Such soul contracts begin to appear or on the surface, and we really need to detach from even those soul contracts. And I know it's very, very difficult. It's quite easy to detach from karmic blocks or karmic relationships, but then it's very difficult to detach from our own family, our parents, our children, and very difficult to detach from soulmates. But this need to be worked upon, because we need to understand soulmate or parents or friends or whoever, even our own, in a way, we cannot even get dependent too much on the physical guru even, because ultimately too much detachment only leads to suffering, pain, and unwanted expectations. So once you work on this very thoroughly, the Kundalini passes through Swadhisthana chakra, 5th, 6th gate, and this is like a second rise of a Kundalini, because in this rise it pierces a Vishnu Granthi. In 7th gate, the blocks where we swing between, defense or expression and suppression. And we are not, the main block here is when we have been too much disciplined in our past lives. So here it's all about flow. Just flow sometimes. You don't have to be so strict in adhering to rules. Something like that. After 7th gate, 8 to 14 gate is again collective, where there have been soul level, collective memory of soul level, abuse or dogmas, or where in certain past life where it was the society saw bodily desires in a very negative form, like it's sin, it's evil, it's this, it's that. So those echoes of trauma are stored in this womb or hara, and which have been the main block to that divine union. That comes in 8th and 9th gate. Then at 10th and to 11th, again it is soul level trauma of suppression, deep grief, past life, childbirth trauma, frozen emotions, fear of being powerless, etc. At 13th gate, it's like creating, sometimes we have been creatively suppressed in very ascending, maybe it's 5th, 7th or 12th, 13th century, when especially women was regarded as only piece of, like just to be at home, and their talents, their creativity were all suppressed harshly by the society. Or even men were subjected to certain wars and traumas, etc. So this all start coming up on the surface, or men have to be at certain level, and if certain men or women are very much inclined towards artistic painting or artistic music, they were looked down upon. So those collective creativity suppression comes up on the surface. At 14th, the desires like impure ego, etc., where we need to convert that energy into that divine union energy, etc., happens, and so on. So yeah, this is a bit about the 2 chakras, about Manipura chakra, and one guided meditation of Mooldhara chakra we will cover in next video. So yeah, till then, thank you. Hari Om. Tat Sat.